So the next step, after correcting any minor imperfections you see, will be this. You put the weight on that you're going to use. This is actually one of the batteries I intend to use. On the bottom, this is the other. Only the other is perfect because it's right around 9.5 grams. And what that does for me, now check out where it CGs, guys. Tell me this isn't the perfect spot for a CG for this. This is what I was trying to tell you guys. This doesn't CG until I put all the weight on it. But we're going to review. We've already weighed these in other videos. So you know that this, with the gear reduction system and the motor and the prop, the motor's 3 grams. This is 3 grams. This is 3 grams. That's 9 grams. Then we have this at 8 grams. Between the two of those, we have a lot of weight. Then we have this one at 6 grams. This is going to be our 300 mAh slow flyer battery. Now we have this guy. This is our 350, but the reason it's there is because I'm going to actually lay my ESC right here. That's about 1 gram and a bit, a little over 1 gram. Then I'm going to lay my 1 gram servo boards here and here. That's 3 grams. Then I'm going to lay 2 more 1 gram servo boards inside. That's 5 grams. Then add glue. We're looking at 6 grams. And then I'm going to have a servo right here. No, I'm going to have my receiver right here, which means this battery at 8 grams exactly represents the amount of weight that we will have in the airplane, and is laid in a position where it actually was putting the weight exactly where it's going to be in the real airplane, guys. That being said, I now know that it CG's perfect with the amount of weight that I wanted on it. And that is huge. That is absolutely huge. I also recommend when you're building, put your pieces aside when you're done with them so you don't ruin things. Now, I did say I had more to show you in another video, and that is the landing gear. I knew that I was going to do it a little differently. One of the reasons was because I decided I wanted the tail to be a little higher. Now you can see what I mean about the leaf spring setup. It's actually kind of a Z leaf, and if you really look closely, you'll see as it travels, it's got cushion here, but it's also got cushion here, so that it's got cushion both directions, and it's actually multiple leaves going in both directions. Then I made skis, okay, little ones, they're nothing fancy. Made another one for the stern, and you can see, I'm just going to show you here in some detail. This is where the old landing gear ended, and I had it here with this silly little stack of stuff. I said I was going to brace it again, and I did, only this time I went hardcore. So these two, I took a thinner piece here that I thought was too flimsy. The thicker piece, the wider piece, that I decided to use goes under here, and then I glue the two together instead of cutting it off. And I knew that this would give me a lot more strength, and it gave me one more place to put another wing. And if you look closely, it's on about the same angle as the other wing, guys. It actually is hard to show you guys this, but they're actually quite nice. And the angles are actually complementary. So when it sits like this, it'll be great for giving lift, but once it takes off, guys, it's like this. Now I'm going back and forth with two different minds. One wants to call it the eagle because it does kind of look like a bird's wing, and then it looks like it has claws when it comes in. It's sick. But this stacked setup is beautiful and flies amazing. It's a really great setup for flight. So I have my landing gear finalized. I've rebuilt that as I said that I would, and made this as perfect as I can. You can see this is actually leaned back a little bit to take it so that if it comes in with an impact like this, let me show you what happens directly. You get this effect, and then it rocks back. It'll grip the plane, stop it, and pull it back, which is really nice. It lands like it's on legs, guys. And they have a sufficient angle upward. If you can just see that, I'm sorry about the lighting, but it's creating its own shadow as I do this. So you see that, the little angle upward that they have? This is on a slight uphill slant, and it's still not quite level, which is perfect because terrain will pass underneath. Same with this one. So you don't really want them flat to the ground. You want them shaped like a ski, right? So these are actually quite passable. This will do. And if I decided to make floats, this is a strong enough structure with enough lift bodies incorporated in it that it actually is generating significant lift and overcomes its own weight quite readily with lift, which is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's a wonderful little design, guys. That being said, I'm finished. This one's only going to be the 5 minutes because really at this point, until I finish to build with all the RC stuff, there's really not much more I can do. And I don't want to wreck it while throwing it down the hall a whole bunch of times with weight on it to see if it flies right. I already know it does. I did. Now here's the trick. I haven't run it with all the RC gear in it yet, but I did CG it with the weight. And what that tells me is if I give it a hard enough toss, it will fly well. It CGs very well and perfectly where I had intended it to. So this is a really good build, guys. This is looking amazing. Now I'm going to say at the end of this, I will show you all the measurements, but I still have to blueprint it like I talked about in the previous video to this one. And this has just been in between before I blueprinted. I'm correcting any minor mistakes. And at the same time, a couple of those were in the landing gear. Plus this one sat a little askew and wasn't perfectly straight, and I didn't want that. These ones also didn't sit at the correct level that I wanted them to, so I needed to reglue those, and they weren't strong enough. So for all those reasons, they are out, the old landing gear, and this is in. It's CG's perfect, and at this point, your job as an engineer is almost done. I mean, this is where it's the fun part, because unlike the creative part where you're trying to design it, I have the design. It's awesome. It works. There's nothing more satisfying than flying something you built that flies really, really well. But I'm not done yet. I still have to clean it up, trim it out to make sure it's perfect, measure everything up, make sure everything's perfect. Then I blueprint it. Once I have it blueprinted, the RC gear all goes into it. And in my case, I'm just going to build it and then put it on a 3D scanning setup that I have on my phone, and it'll scan this and make a 3D model of it from video. There are other apps that do it, so I will make lots of video of it and then make more video of it later. And one of the reasons I keep trying to show it from every possible angle when I do these is so that they can see where I want all my pieces, and the program will be able to see exactly how this goes together and what all the angles are and all that good stuff. And if you're scanning things, I highly recommend that you do a nice, as much detail as you can get kind of video where you're showing everything to the computer in great detail. It needs to be able to see the VGs inside of the wings, how they're sitting over the ailerons. It needs to be able to see the leading edge VGs in detail to see where they begin and end, and their shape is important for the computer to be able to observe. So you're going to want to put it on angles like this where it's seeing everything. But by doing this, you're also seeing everything. And I felt like you guys would want to see this because it is a glorious bird, really. I mean, I should call it the eagle. It's such a nice little flyer, and it's going to look so much like an eagle when it's in the air, really. It's got that look to it, especially if it's swooping down and coming back up. It's going to look cool. But I'm not calling it the eagle. I have, however, called it the RXD BP-X1. It is an extreme biplane, so I guess it's going to be the XBP1. That's it. I'm an engineer. I'm not great at names, but if anybody has a better one, I'm all ears. Send me a comment. I'll get it by email, and I will take a look at them. I can't promise I'll respond, but if I do choose it, I will respond and let you know that yours has been chosen. There is no contest. I do not get paid, and I have nothing to send you, but I think I've given you enough for free already, giving you all my engineering and my wisdom. And if you followed through this series, you will now understand all that is involved, how the leading edge affects things, the trailing edge. All this stuff will be revealed to you as you do this, either through experimentation, because you're trying it and you're building with it, and you'll see. You adjust it the way I tell you, and everything works out great. So in the end, just do it what I'm showing you. Build yourself a nice little plane, and you'll see it's a great project. It's a lot of fun. And in the end, you're going to want that. I mean, who doesn't want to have fun? Who doesn't want to fly an airplane? I just don't want to spend huge money on one that's not as good as I would want it to be. I want this to be truly 3D and fly very well. And one of the things, believe it or not, is having the weight. I want weight that I can throw around, and that will all help this to turn and roll over, because otherwise it has a big wing area that doesn't really want to roll over. I also want it to handle the wind, which is one of the reasons for all these little fins that lock everything in as it flies. The weight and the fins combine with the lift to lock this into the sky, guys. It's one of the reasons why it's such a great design. It's one of the reasons why I highly recommend it. That being said, I'm going to cut this one. Enjoy your builds, guys. We are still not technically finished. I have a few more goodies to share with you. When I do the install, I will show you how I do that. I will show you a flight video. But then that'll pretty much be it for this series up until probably spring or the next flying event that I can take it to. And I will start carrying this around to flying events, guys, and actually taking it and flying it competitively and show the world what I have built. Keith out.